Days of Our Lives is going to have an emotional week as Salem pays their respects to John Black. The grief is real though, because viewers are still processing the real-life loss of Hodgeston, who was beloved by everyone in the daytime community. The funeral begins on Tuesday, June 10, and there's one face fans might be looking for but won't see this week: Allison Sweeney. Sami Brady will still get to mourn John, but they're going to have to wait. Sweeney promised Soaps.com that it will be a true-to-life opportunity for the show to express how grief doesn't have a timeline. John's death resonates long after his funeral. I don't know if it was meant to be a secret, so I don't want to step on their toes, but I came back a little bit later because I couldn't be there for those scenes, Sweeney revealed. They arranged for me to do it a week later, maybe 2 weeks later. I do come in and have scenes about John, but my timing was a little bit off after all of that. Sweeney admitted that it was hard not to be with her Days of Our Lives cast to film the poignant scenes, and seeing the previews for John's funeral has been tough. We knew when we were filming the scenes that it wasn't going to air until 6 months from now, and we're going to have these feelings all over again, and that's sort of what's happening, she said. I'm watching these scenes on TV and seeing all the comments on social media. And we're reliving it, so that's really hard. Still, Sweeney thinks that Sami's later moments with Marlena will feel realistic to fans, because mourning doesn't always happen when everyone gets together on one day. She added, sometimes that's an ongoing thing. Having Sami come back and share those moments with Marlena, like a week later or something, allows us to tell that story. It also gives Sami a moment to honor the man who was a second father figure to her, even though their beginnings were rather rough. He was the love of Marlena's life, and those tender mother-daughter moments might be exactly what we all need to process the loss of not only John, but the sweet presence of Hodgeston on our screens. Days of Our Lives 2-week spoilers for June 9 to 20, 2025. See, Phillip Kyriakis is going to wake up, and Bo Brady is going to meet his new brother Xander Cook Kyriakis. He's already met him, but not as his brother. Monday, June 9th, Roman Brady is there to reassure a worried Eric Brady, and he may be stressed out about eulogizing John Black at the funeral. It looks like from some scenes I've seen that Eric may be the one who's doing. They're going to have a lot of speaking, but Eric may be the one who's kind of officiating at the funeral service. Brady Black comforts his daughter Rachel Black as she breaks down over her grandpa John's death. The little girl is already stressed. This is going to make everything worse. Tate Black hears a big secret from Ari. I wonder if it's about shagging Doug Williams 3, her fake ID, all her lies to her mom, why she really left before graduation. There's a lot of secrets I feel like she's keeping. Kayla Brady gets some news from Steve Johnson, and it may be that Bo is on the way home. She'll be so excited about that. And Salem prepares to say its final and very sad goodbye to John Black. Tuesday, June 10th, Rachel's anxiety and grief worsens. Her parents are worried. Kristen Dimera and Brady obviously want to do everything they can to comfort her. But this is just, it's sad and it's terrible, and she was falling apart even before John died. Channel Dupree revisits the adoption with Tate. I wonder if he is going to tell her that Sophia Choi's due date is nearing, and they still don't have any prospective adoptive parents, but they are starting the process. Bo and Hope Brady's romance kicks back up. It's been a minute because the last time he woke up he was running amok and didn't even want to be around her. So I'm excited to see Bo and Hope have a real reunion. Remember the last time they billed it as a big Bo and Hope reunion, and then it wasn't. So wisely, they don't seem to be promoting that now because they're, doing all the promos around the funeral stuff. But hopefully we'll get something really sweet. I want more flashbacks of them too. Plus, John's funeral is going to run for a couple of episodes. And then there's also going to be a wake honoring him. Wednesday, June 11th, more of John's funeral, and Sean Brady is going to be consoling Belle Black on the loss of her dad. And again, she doesn't want EJ Demera to be there at her side. He reached out to Belle. He went over to, he has gone to see her at the hospital. He's gone to see her at the house, and she keeps telling him he can't be around. Belle has said that, John wouldn't like it, and she's really got to think about that. And now that her dad is gone, I just don't think Belle is going to want to dishonor her dad's legacy by being involved with EJ. But the sad thing is she does love him, and he loves her. Beau refuses to listen to his doctor's orders on Wednesday. Looks like he's going to head to Salem. He wants to try and make it there for the funeral where Hope and Sierra and Sean have already gone to. Johnny Demera opens up to Channel about his anxiety and some of his demons he's still dealing with. I wonder if she's going to bring up the adoption to Johnny and get him to try and change his mind. So in addition to Eric speaking at the funeral, lots of people are going to share anecdotes, and on hand, we are going to have Carrie. We're going to have Paul Narita and Andrew Donovan and Shane Donovan. We're going to have Belle and Sean. Also Abe Carver and Paulina Price. Also at the funeral, we're going to see Roman with Kate Roberts. We're going to see Steve there with Kayla, Channel, and Johnny. And Hope's going to be there. Beau may be late, or he may only make it to the wake. We'll see because he's fighting with his doctor on Wednesday as the funeral is ongoing. Brady and Rachel are going to be there and lots more. Lots of reminiscing, many flashbacks to Drake Hodgson's Decades on Days of Our Lives. Thursday, June 12th, there's a wake coming after the funeral. Looks like it's going to be over at the Brady pub. Everyone goes to toast and talk. Marlena Evans' friends and John's friends and family are there. They support her and they honor John's heroism. I'm sure that Beau's going to have some things to say about being on his feet and being back with his family and reunited. And it's all down to what John did for him. He died a hero as he lived. Hope is going to catch up with Julie Williams and Jennifer Horton. Hope's excited for Beau Brady to walk through that door as she tells Julie says she still gets butterflies for him. And Hope, Julie, and Jennifer have all lost loved ones over the last few years. 3 years ago, Jen lost Abby Deverox, and of course, Hope and Julie lost Doug, and they've all lost John now. So there's a lot of grief for these women to commiserate about. Jack Devereaux goes over to visit Abby's empty grave to pay his respect. I'm quite certain he wants closure and maybe talking to Chad Demera soon. Beau presses Steve to change his mind on something. And Thao Penglis is back on Thursday as Tony Demera. His beloved Anna Demera is already in Salem. But it looks like Tony is going to miss the funeral or only be there for the tail end of it, maybe just for the wake. Friday, June 13th, Alex Kyriakis is romancing Stephanie Johnson. But what if she asks him about her book? What will Alex say? Because it looks like Kate might have actually lost it at the hospital. We'll find out because other people were reading it. Anna was reading it. Anna assumed Kate was writing it. So steamy stuff. Amy picked it up and Miss Choi, she didn't like it. Xander and Sarah Horton bicker about their daughter Victoria on Friday, and Belle makes a difficult confession to EJ. And this may be more of the conversation of, I'm sorry, we just can't be together. Kate is desperate for Phillip to come back to her now. She needs some good news now more than ever. And Sean apologizes to Jetta Hunter on Friday, so might be about his past antics over Beau's guilt. Remember when he was drinking on the job and doing all that because he was just at rock bottom overshooting his dad? Or it may be about the misunderstanding that led to her and Rafe Hernandez splitting. The week of June 16th through the 20th, Marina has to adjust to life alone now that she's laid John to rest, and Marlena is going to be struggling. Phillip wakes up soon, and Kate wants him to testify against Xander, of course. Meanwhile, Sarah's getting pushed back from Xander. He's not going to let her cut him out of Victoria's life. EJ is not going to let Belle just dump him and walk away without trying hard to change her mind. Jack and Chad may discuss how they can get answers about Abby, and Beau is going to go see his new brother, Xander. They've got lots to talk about. You know, he knew he was Victor Kiriakis' henchman and occasional gardener, but not his brother. So this is a whole new dynamic. And Phillip may get an apology from Xander. Guests begin to trickle back out of Salem now that the funeral and the wake are over. We're going to be heading back into other storylines, including EJ's shooting. The trauma of losing her grandpa John may push Rachel to confess the truth to her mom Kristen of what really happened that night. Gwen Risect is in town in a few weeks and single Xander will be on her radar. Meanwhile, Brady is still comforting Sarah. Watch for more of that. Although Xander and Sarah are endgame, so don't despair, and Bo has a Kiriakis-centric storyline kicking off soon. If you've already seen today's episode of Days of Our Lives, you may have difficulty reading this article through your tears. We had trouble typing it the same way, but we were interested in our sister site Variety's report that the 3 episodes that make up John Black's funeral were taped before Drake Hodgeston passed away. Executive producer Ken Corday got the go-ahead from the actor to move forward with the sadly inevitable twist. He understood that this is a story fans would want to be told, Eric Martsolf shared with the website. But knowing that this man was on the planet, and we were literally taping his funeral and his death, that was hard. Hodgeston drew his last breath the weekend after the episodes were taped, and his castmates' awareness that he would soon take his final bow greatly informed their performances. To the point that they weren't really performances, Martsolf said. There was literally zero acting going on during those 3 days. Everyone was holding hands to the point where our hands were getting white. Martha Madison added that, in a way, getting the whole gang together to pay their respects was a beautiful release. None of us were able to really see him or be with him towards the end. This was our opportunity to do it as a family. Dressed in all black, Kayla and Steve meet at the pub. Having just talked to Bo, she remarks that keeping John's death from him will be hard. Steve notes they can't do anything to set back his recovery. He confirms that he packed up John's stuff at the office, as well as his own. I'm shutting down Black Patch, Sweetness. He can't do it without his partner. Kayla hates how dangerous his job is, but she knows he loves it. Steve muses that in retirement, he could volunteer, play his harp in the park, or take guitar lessons. He hesitates before leaving for the funeral because he doesn't know what to say to Marlena. Kayla knows that Marlena doesn't blame him. Roman joins them and reinforces the sentiment. They're all just grateful for what he did to save Bo. When Brady meets Rachel at the Dimura mansion, she explains that while she knows she's supposed to wear all black, she's wearing green hair clips because Grandpa John gave them to her. Brady is sure he'd like them very much. When he takes her hand to leave, Rachel tearfully says she doesn't want to go. She fears her grandpa died because she dreamed it happened. Brady counters that John came to her dream to say goodbye one last time. But just because they can't see him now doesn't mean he won't be with them all the time. He convinces her to go and give him the proper goodbye. Eric meets Belle, Carrie, and Paul in the square. He's nervous about officiating John's service because he's a little rusty. Carrie assures him there's no one else they'd rather have up there. Belle dabs her eyes with a tissue and hands out mini packs to others. She has mints too. If John were there, he'd be the one passing them out to keep everyone's spirits up. They toast to John with their to-go coffees. Outdoors, framed photos of John from over the years display along with flower bouquets and an urn. Marlena stiffly takes it all in as Shane arrives. She cries as he embraces her. He calls John the finest agent he has ever worked with, but the agency's loss is nothing compared to losing a lifelong friend. Marlena knows John felt the same way about him and thanks Shane for bringing John home. Andrew arrives, followed by Paul and the others. Carrie and Belle peruse the flower arrangements sent from Vivian Alamain, John's father, Timothy, and Sami. Belle is kind of relieved their sister isn't there, so there's not another scene. Carrie reminds Belle that Sami chased Austin, the man she loved for years. Therefore, Sami has no right to be upset if Belle is with her ex. As Tate and Ari stroll through the square, she admits this is her first funeral. She's also nervous because her dad isn't too happy with her for disappearing the other night. She admits she had some fun with a guy but won't divulge his name. Tate promises not to say anything but urges her to be careful so as not to end up like him with a baby on the way. When the teens arrive at the funeral, Brady fills Tate in on Rachel's emotional state and explains Kristen thought it best to stay away. Steve arrives, and Marlena thanks him for bringing John's mementos. He chokes up. "I can never tell you how sorry I am." She knows there's nothing he could have done to stop John from saving Bo. It's who he was. Steve sobs as he embraces her. Paul, Andrew, and Eric marvel over John's displayed spy paraphernalia. Eric recalls John going on a lot of missions when he was a kid. Paul would have loved to have heard about them. Andrew can't fill him in because they're classified if they were even on the books, but he can tell him that John was even more a badass than he can imagine. Paul calls them lucky to have known and loved him. And you, Andrew says, to have been his son. Paul calls that the greatest gift he was ever given. Johnny and Channel find Rachel at John's photos. She stutters upon seeing her cousin and runs away. Johnny notes how weird she's been around him. Paulina and Abe talk with Marlena as Julie arrives. Marlena politely nods as they remark on the gorgeous flowers and the bright light that John was. Kat discreetly arrives. At John's table of mementos, Rachel fumbles with his encased Mickey Mantle baseball card. Marlena and Brady hover as she recalls going to the Cubs opening day with her grandpa. Marlena is sure it was his perfect day. Brady crosses to Belle and Carrie, who wonders if Belle really thinks it could work with EJ. Belle admits she's conflicted because she thinks her dad would hate it. Brady confirms that he definitely would. At John's photos, Kat casually passes Shane. "Director," she says, acknowledging him, without stopping or looking at him. As Julie and Paulina catch up on Eli, Lainey, and the kids, Paulina realizes this is the first funeral since Doug died. Julie knows Doug would want her to be there to celebrate John's life, and for Marlena to know she's surrounded by love. "Just as you have always been, Julie," Paulina says, "and always will be." Julie bristles as Kat approaches. Julie curtly brings up her and Chad's skydiving date that left Chad stumbling around. She's just glad Jack and Jennifer left before Kat got there. Kat approaches Marlena, who talks with Kayla. Marlena appreciates her condolences and notes she'll be back to work soon. Off Kayla's surprise, Marlena says she needs to stay busy. Roman comes upon Eric as he prays for strength. John was always there for him. Roman knows John loved him with all his heart and would be proud of him, just as Roman is. Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal a preview clip has been released for the week of June 9, 2025. It shows John Black's funeral, which will take place over 3 days. Paul Narita and Rachel Black bond over baseball. Plus, Carrie Brady Reed shares a coffee toast with Paul, Eric Brady, and Belle Black. Keep reading and let's talk about what is coming up in the Peacock soap opera. John's funeral will air from Tuesday through Thursday. Belle will get up and talk about how funny her father was. There is both laughter and crying while several Salemites give speeches about John's life. Marlena Evans sits in the front row with Belle and Carrie. Paul Narita, Andrew Donovan, Steve Johnson, and Kayla Johnson are also present. Abe Carver, Eric, Channel Dupree DeMera, and Johnny DeMera are also in attendance along with Roman Brady and Kate Roberts Brady. As Marlena says one final goodbye to John, expect there to be a lot of flashbacks. Expect to see familiar scenes of the times John cheated death. There will also be heartwarming memories of John and Marlena's love story. Instead of saying goodbye to John, Marlena says, "Good night, my love." Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal that the preview clip also shows Paul and Rachel talking about baseball at the funeral. Paul says that baseball brings people together. The Rachel says he's saying, take me out to the ball game." After that, Marlena chimes in, saying, "I bet he was calling out, 'Swing for the fences.'" Fans will also see a coffee toast between Eric, Carrie, Paul, and Belle. As for what else to expect, Steve will drop some kind of bombshell on Kayla Johnson. That leads Steve to make a decision. However, Bo Brady tries to change Steve's mind. Speaking of Bo, expect him to reconnect with Hope Brady. Will fans finally see BOP have their happily ever after? Hope will also reconnect with Jennifer Horton-Deverovs and Julie Williams. Which storyline are you looking forward to seeing the most during the week of June 9, 2025? Share your thoughts in the comment section below. Remember to keep watching the soap on Peacock to find out what happens next. Days of Our Lives spoilers are in for June 9 to 13, 2025. Fans can expect Hope Brady to reconnect with several people in Salem. Bo Brady works on changing Steve Johnson's decision. Meanwhile, Jack Devereaux pays his respects to Abigail DiMera. Keep reading and let's talk about what is coming up in the Peacock soap opera. After being booted from the Horton house, Chad called Kat. However, she decided to stay away from him from now on. Chances are that Chad won't be able to forget about Kat. Plus, Salem is a small town. They're bound to run into each other. Meanwhile, Jack pays his respects to Abigail. Jack might also have a conversation with his late daughter, telling her about the mess with Chad, Jennifer, and Kat. Fans will also see John's funeral take place. The man seemingly left a positive mark on everyone's lives, even those who didn't really know the man. Amy Choi told Marlena Evans a heartwarming story about John helping her many years ago. Kat mentioned to Tate Black that she wouldn't exist if it weren't for John's heroism. John's funeral will begin on Tuesday and continues through most of the week. On Thursday, expect Steve to make a decision about something. Bo tries to change his mind, but will he agree? Days of Our Lives spoilers reveal that next week, Hope has several reconnections. First, Hope and Bo will get a lot closer. Hope will also spend some time bonding with Julie Williams and Jennifer. There will also be Rachel Black. Fans know that Rachel dreamt John dying as it happened. Rachel gets even more upset as the week progresses. I wonder if Rachel will have more bad dreams. Maybe she has Susan Banks' gift? Ari Horton confides in Tate Black. Tate will also get questioned about the adoption by Channel Dupree DiMera. Robin Brady tries to ease Eric Brady's mind. Xander Cook Kyriakis continues clashing with Sarah Horton Kyriakis. Elsewhere, Belle Black shares a hard truth with EJ DiMera. Days of Our Lives spoilers for Tuesday, June 10 give fans what they want, Bo and Hope back together again, while something that no one wants, John's funeral, begins. If you've been following Hope and Bo for over 40 years, there is no such thing as too many flashbacks or too many trips down memory lane. You want to hear them talk about the day they met, and the day Bo spirited Hope away from her wedding on his motorcycle, and their actual wedding, and the birth of their kids, and that time they saved the world via a crystal buried in the floor of an ice show. We were thrilled to meet little Bo and baby Addie. But we're selfish, we want even more. Good thing the show is going to deliver. John's funeral is about to begin, and all of Salem is there to pay their respects. Everyone is unhappy, but Rachel is particularly upset. On the one hand, we don't blame her. She loved her grandfather. Also, her parents are constantly fighting, and she's being raised by Kristen, a complete lunatic who claims she'll do anything for her daughter, but in reality, only does what's best for Kristen, no matter how bad it is for Rachel. But there is also the fact that she saw Johnny with a gun the night EJ was shot, and is being told to keep it a secret. Johnny changed his mind about adopting Tate and Sophia's baby, which almost cost him his marriage to Channel. Now, Channel says she can wait to have a child. But just in case Johnny changes his mind again, Channel has questions for Tate about his and Sophia's plans. Maybe they can still make it work after all? Days of Our Lives spoilers photos for the June 10 2025 episode teased some unexpected guests at John's funeral. John's funeral officially begins with Salemites past and present in attendance, but things will start away from Salem. Spoilers for the week tease that Bo will defy doctor's orders, and it looks like he may have a good reason for it. Back in Salem, John's loved ones will share tributes to him: Marlena, Brady, Eric, Paul, Belle, Roman, and Kayla, and John's best friends Steve, Abe, and Shane. It appears Marlena will get a surprise when Bo and Hope arrive to remember the man who saved Bo's life. Bo will share his gratitude for John's sacrifice while Hope mourns him. John Black's family and friends gathered to say goodbye to the grandfather, father, husband, friend, and hero. A nervous Eric will officiate the ceremony. In the Monday, June 9 episode of Days of Our Lives, the memories of John flowed. So did a couple of interesting developments and conversations. Shane returned for John's funeral, and he had a touching reunion with Marlena. It was great to see him, although it would have been nice to see Kimberly too. Other than that, there were great photos of John on display, and Steve brought over some mementos that would help his friends and family feel his presence there. Rachel talked about going to a Cubs game with her grandpa. Eric reflected on how important John was to him, especially when he was growing up. With Roman, he remembered how John was the only parent there for him for a while. Meanwhile, Abe said John helped make him a better man. There were also flower arrangements from Sami and Sydney, Vivian Alamain, and John's father, Timothy Robichaud, who couldn't be at the service because he had just had hip surgery. Everybody basked in the memories of the joy John brought to their lives. That is when there weren't other types of conversations going on. Take Carrie and Belle, who talked about Sami. They both sounded a bit relieved that she won't be at the funeral. Family dynamics, right? The EJ topic, of course, came up. And while Carrie was glad that Sami got to feel the burn of having a sister involved with her ex, she did wonder if Belle really thought that her thing with EJ could go anywhere. One of the episode's biggest developments was Steve's decision to shut down the Black Patch Detective Agency. Without John, Steve decided to retire as a private investigator. Kayla wondered how he'd stay busy, and her husband gave her a few options, including learning how to play the guitar. We don't want to think of a Salem world without Black Patch, but Steve will undoubtedly stumble upon a case or two while retired. He won't just be playing the harmonica in the park. Another curious development involved Kat. When she saw Shane at the service, she called him director and kept walking. Is Kat Green an ISA agent or part of the ISA somehow? Is that the reason for the mysterious call and her whole general cloak of mystery? This all feels very strange. We hope we learn more about the Kat and Shane of it all sooner rather than later.